all, there's a billion Earths identical to this one. Earth, all these billions of Earths are essentially a prison. There are several soul transmission stations, both on Earth and on the Moon, and depending on where you're going in your next lifetime is which transmission station takes over. Now, the tower that's in the middle of Mosting A, which is dead center of the Moon. In other words, the Moon is in rotational lock, and it always has one side pointed towards Earth, the other side, except for the pictures that NASA takes. And I have a real nice collection of pictures of the far side.
Soul harvest. It's a soul trap. The well of souls that I've talked about before. I mean, as I've said, if you can get people so locked into a false reality that they're putting on glasses and they're in this virtual world, and really what attaches your soul to your vessel, the vessel that you're in, like it's the I am, the awareness. I am here in this world. I exist. Your soul is attached to that I am. If they can get you in a mainframe and get you in a virtual world where you still believe I am, then your soul is still attached to that. And it's a place that I believe is called the Well of Souls. And the whole talk of wanting to bring this huge demonic entity into being, Satan, whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe it is, apparently it needs a certain amount of souls to do that. And I think that's what they do. They trap people into the mainframe. And I think they've done this before. And I think that's why it's so difficult to wake a lot of people up, is because they're already in the mainframe. I think half the people out there aren't even real people. They're just minds, consciousness that's driving an avatar that thinks that they're real, but they're not. They're not really alive. They're in the mainframe already.
Predestination, though, opposes free will, because free will requires individual decision-making, and predestination requires everything that was done, is being done, and will be done to be in the hands of his creation. Predestination is an enemy of free will. A creator God would have complete control over everything and is basically the script writer of their creation. This can be seen in computer programming, where the programmer is a god over his program. He can change whatever he deems fit without the program's consent, and all the outcomes of the program are known facts as the program executes scripted commands created by the programmer. Hence, the past, present and future in the world of a creator God has already been decided, and we, the alleged creation, have no control over its outcome. This makes the world seem mechanistic and dead, as we have no power and exist as mere automatons.
Of course, you're not going to get all the people to do it, so you need to depopulate. It's like people farm. But there's only really a certain amount of real conscious people in here. And they want those souls. They want those conscious souls. They want them trapped in that mainframe. That's where they get their energy from. It's like a flame. It's like a fire. It's like electricity for them. It's the energy they need to power this demonic whatever it is they're creating. That, people will have all different religious concepts about what it is. I don't even go there. I just know it's a powerful, energetic, conscious force that exists, and it's the other side of what we're really connected to. They're trying to disconnect us from that and get us into the mainframe.
The Creator God is obviously an enemy of free will, the very thing none of us can oppose, as our very existence alone proves it. You cannot believe in free will and the Creator God. The Creator God is a narcissist, complete control freak. This is why our Creator God religions requite full submission to believe or not to believe. The very fact that only you can make that decision for you should make free will an obviously irrefutable fact.
I think that we have an opportunity to actually get through it this time. I think this is going to be one of the last resets. that they do. Because even when I look at the world, and I mean, it gets very esoteric for a lot of people. You go back, I mean, looking at the giant trees that used to exist, the silicon trees that are now tabletop mountains, the silicon life that used to exist, the giants that used to be here, the water canopy, which would make it possible for things to grow to enormous sizes, and which is also talked about in the Bible and all sorts of places. You'll find references to a water canopy, you know, what caused the Great Flood when the canopy fell, all of this sort of stuff. The story of the Great Flood exists in all cultures, in all countries. So we know there has been events like this. Whether there's been more than one, we don't know.
The reference to the God being a computer programming brings up many connotations and makes one ponder on AI. Is everything just an AI overlay? Which then explains the bot-like behaviour of many of his creations, does it not? With our life force energy converted from coins to paper and now seemingly marching towards fresh air tokens, with a techno world on steroids lurking around the corner from us, it is something we should all think deeply upon. Forget whether you are religious or not. Everything on this planet currently is about shortening time spans via genetics, technology, travel, or even conferences. But given the distances of travel and the main stargates down for speed of travel, it would be an easier way of controlling a planet and its beings from afar with the use of technology, would it not? AI gods and goddesses, oh my. What a way to cheat death and not return to source. Is that what has really...
Should we carry on? Or do you want to stop and talk about it?
Whatever you want, man. We can...
Let's finish up the video, man. It's pretty deep. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about. So let's just finish it up. Hello, everybody, by the way.
Taken place in this solar system. All ones and zeros and binary code, time will, and some will say, has told. And the key is how to correct it, and that involves the all, not just the one. One has to ponder on our thoughts of what is source. Who or what is source? How do you access it? Now, we are all part of source. It is inside us all. But you have to go within, not look up to the sky to access it. All of us have the capability to become a source for your own universe one day, providing your soul development has gone through the several levels of not only earth planes, but galactic and universal planes of development as well. There are 7 planes of soul development for each level. All gods, or God, in our books were everyday beings who had developed enough to attain some of what appears to many or to some as magical abilities. Some of it was trickery, some of it was technology, but it was enough to fool the lower developed humans into believing they were the god or gods. But there are many humans globally who have some of these extraordinary godlike abilities. Some use it for good purposes and some fall to the dark alignments. They end up losing their abilities, but then dance with the unseen entities to carry on the illusion. The question to ponder on is, what if you cannot or struggle to gain access to the real source from a lower soul development level? Many humans are astral level and have little to no extra abilities, What if the frequency those humans carry is too low to make the real frequency connection or spark to source? What if those humans are then subject to an external source, which they are told is in the sky, and subsequently external of them? What if that level of soul development's connection to source is the sky? And the veil, which is an electromagnetic fence, which was subsequently connected to the Saturn Moon matrix frequency generator. And for those people, their God or source is actually an AI programmed to mimic source, but it's not the real source. People look up to the sky and pray, which frequency-wise generates a wave to then hit the veil, and the AI then mirrors a frequency back at you that people believe is God. So the question remains, can humans only connect to source via mental plane level development, which is blocked by a simulation level of traps called the astral, which contains an ultimate trap of mirroring being with God and peace called heaven?
Well, there you go. What's going on, Eddie?
It's going, man.
What did you think about what you heard there?
Kind of something similar to what I believe. I believe that we have a way out, and it's not through Jesus. And you know, if people can take that narrow path, which is truth, then you're on your way out. I've said many a times, we don't have a hate problem in this country. We have a truth problem. We can't be honest, and that's what affects us. Is the fact that because if we cannot live in truth, then we cannot love anybody. We can't even love ourselves if we're deceiving ourselves. And to be honest, we all know that the Christian community is deceiving themselves.
Yes. Continue. I didn't want to interrupt that.
No, that was the end of that. I mean, if we cannot live in truth, then we have no love. And if we have no love, we're pretty much done.
That's what I think too. I think honesty is a big part of escaping is, and a big part of that is being able to say I don't know, and stop pretending that we do know. If that makes any sense. You know, there's a lot of make-believe in this been going on. People read something, they parrot it, they get pissed about it. What about this? Maybe it is right too about this AI, this entity, this egregore, this thing that, whether it's Satan or Jesus or Allah or whatever, Muhammad, whatever it will present itself to the world, is really just an illusion anyways. And that, like they're saying there, that in the sky, it is in the sky. It's everywhere in the sky, and it's part of this giant holographic realm that we're living in. Giant deception in which people pray to something external, something outside themselves. And this thing at times actually literally does deceive them into thinking that they're hearing something that's true. But you can't ever quantify it. You can't ever qualify it.
Well, see, I believe that they are hearing something, and I believe that it is the the opposite of the light. Whatever enlightenment is, that's it's impossible to have whatever this is, source, God, whatever, go to certain people that don't do anything for society. There's not a Christian out there that benefits society, not one. So why would God pick them? It makes no sense. Maybe
Well,
because they're
if
the
this
greatest deceivers.
it could be, or it talks about in the video about narcissism, and that this God that most of the world worships and believes in is an incredible narcissist, especially the one that we see in the Bible, right, and also in the Quran. Well, this narcissistic God uh, really does want us to believe in predeterminism, that we have no say in any of this. It's all fate. You know what I mean? And that there is no free will, and that maybe, but ultimately, the free will is to either to conform to this matrix, this thing, whether we call it Jesus or Allah or Yahweh or whatever, or we say no, and we don't conform to it. And we say no. We're going to be, to the best of our ability, uh, our sovereign selves, our true selves, at least a bit of it. Obviously, most of it's been hijacked and stolen from us. But I think that the evidence is, when you look at this thing called Jesus, which I call an egregore, it's a thought form that's been created over the 2,000 years, and it's turned into a very powerful force that has the illusion of good at times, but most of the time has been nothing but a terror to the world. And this is the reality of things. With the billions of people's lives being destroyed, billions of people's lives been literally ended in violent and terrible ways. The amount of abuse that's going on with the children, it doesn't matter what denomination, and it's always the same thing. There's some dude that shows up that's been inspired somehow. The ego, very narcissistic, right? Being a pastor, a priest, a minister of any kind is very narcissistic. To think that you actually have the answer, that somehow you think that you have a better answer for everyone else, that somehow you have a special connection to this source, this being. But this being, this source, is tricking them to trick other people, deceive other people. And so what it does is it uses the most narcissistic of us, the most egotistical of us all, who think that somehow we've been chosen by this thing, this force, to continue to tell the truth, right? When they don't even know the truth themselves. It's quite amazing when you think about it. Whatever this source that is around us, this power, it has really tripped up most of us, hasn't it? And Christians in particular. Pastors don't, just like Brandon, so that you know of, and maybe we'll play a video of him or not, I don't know. But he's a young man, and he can't recognize how egotistical he is right now and how arrogant and narcissistic he is. He actually thinks that he knows the Bible better than anyone else, right? Yet he can't accept most of what it says. But he's there to serve Jesus, to serve God. He's got a mission, right? To serve this higher power, this egregore, this force. And in the end, he's going to do what everyone else does. He's going to ruin people's lives, including his own.
Well, that's the problem with pastors, is they are imperfect people pretending to be perfect, and they deceive millions of people. And for the life of me, I've never understood why anyone. Now, did I do it? Yes, I did. But that's what prompted me to look deeper into this. Because when I was having marriage issues, I mean, they were passing me along like I was. It was. I mean, I need to find those emails because if you read those emails, you can tell how important I was to these pastors. You know, they were like, "Hey, man, can you talk to this guy? He's going through some problem." Like that's the way the email was worded. You know, it wasn't worded professionally or any. It was like, "Hey, man, can you talk to this guy? Because I'm busy." And I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, you're busy to do the Lord's work."
Yeah. Well, what's the Lord's work? Obviously, it's to feed their egos, their pockets. To this goes against this entity, this being that people believe is God. It's very narcissistic, and that spirit is infests others who follow it. And they become themselves very much a narcissist. And I think that's quite shocking when we realize exactly what's going on. I know this, they give the Chesterkite smile, and they'll pretend, And here's the thing: what they always do is they focus on something other than what's really in the book and what this real God is. So, like with Brandon, he's focusing on the LGBT thing, whatever, and transgender stuff and all that. Which, in some ways, some ways I do agree with him. I don't agree with a lot what's going on, right? I don't think it should be forced on my son or anybody else, right? At the same token, if somebody wants to live that life, that's their business. They just don't have, I don't feel they have a right to impose it on me or my son. But the same token, that applies to Christianity as well, and these pastors. So somehow they are going to do something better simply because they're opposing one side, one negative aspect of the matrix that we're in, where themselves are part of are another part of the negative aspect of this matrix. So they are promoting lies. They're not telling the truth of what's in the Bible. They think as long as they keep on saying Jesus, everything's okay. And how many of them end up getting burnt really bad in the end? Yeah. Families destroyed, their lives destroyed.
Well, not only that is, to me, knowing this book as well as I do, clearly the Bible supports the LGBTQ community. I mean, we have David running around with a belt of foreskins.
That's right.
Jonathan undresses in front of him. Jesus arrested. There's a naked servant that runs off. According to
naked young man.
Yep, a naked young man. According to the actual true language of that time, it wasn't feet that Jesus was anointing. So we know that he was anointing something else.
They're willies.
Yeah, he was anointing Captain Willie. So, I mean,
you can't talk about it. You can't talk about that now because, you see, you're challenging their egregore, their thought form that they've imagined. You understand that, right? So that thought form is going to hold on to them by all the power it has, unless they seriously study that book. As I talked about that video, that this matrix, this thing, wants to capture what type of people that are conscious, they're aware, they're truly aware of what's going on. That's just part of it. It's easy to focus on, say, Illuminati or the New World Order or the Jesuits or the Khazarians or all the corrupted things out there, but how many people are truly conscious of what they're really in and who they really are? I argue there's very few people that truly know that. I'm only now coming to realization of my own self, how little I actually am aware of this. It's a consciousness. Do you ever feel like sometimes, Eddie, that this matrix is out to get maybe a guy like you, snared, trapped? that make any sense? Did I put you to sleep? He's probably taking care. So, I don't know what happened to Eddie. Maybe he dropped off. Or he muted. Are you muted, Eddie? Maybe you need to unmute yourself. So, yeah, when you think about that, so then you look at the role of Christianity in the Matrix and what Jesus' thing is. So it's 99% of all, I say 99.9% of all Christians do not believe what Jesus actually says, cannot accept what he says, or the apostles for that matter. And we know this firsthand from all the endless verses in the New Testament that talk about the immediacy of the message and that Jesus expected to come back in his generation. That his apostles decided, believed he's coming back, that some will still be standing there. It's this throughout the whole Bible, in fact, the whole New Testament's about that. Now, I believe this is the Rosetta key, if you were a stone, to unlock the mysteries of the New Testament. Once you realize that everyone in those books, all the apostles and disciples, and Jesus in particular, expected he's going to return in their generation, and that all the judgment that was going to befall was going to happen on that generation, the Jews, right? And that the priestcraft and the temple and all that. Once you realize that that's the case, then it really starts to start to bring in clarity what Christianity is today. And one of the problems with Christianity today is they cannot accept that simple truth. I've noticed this now since 2017, and it doesn't matter who you talk to. I mean, we are the exception that we can see that. So does that say that we have more conscience than they do? Are we more aware than they are? Clearly,
No.
You don't think so?
I am convinced that the reason that people like Brandon, that pastor, exist is because they're trying to hide what they've done. And this deceiver known as Jesus has promised them, to have a clean slate. No matter what even though the victims still exist, in reality they exist, but in the Christian community they don't exist. And I find that very interesting that this Jesus only helps the perpetrators, never the victims. He only cares about the perpetrators, never the victims. I mean, we go to the children. He forgives the pastors that took the innocence of a child, but doesn't respond to the child who was crying out for help.
It's true.
I mean, clearly demonic. Clearly demonic.
The number of, that's what I've been researching this week is how much of that's going on in the Mormon church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? Mm-hmm. And what's happening in the bishoprics and in the elders' quorums and in the families' homes, and the degree of, it's truly a devastating trap that's been set, and the people are under it, right? There's a higher increase of suicide in like Utah, higher than any other place in the country. Higher rates of pedophilia and assaults in children than any other place in the country. When you look at what's really going on and the connections with really dark underbelly of this world, turns out a lot of the times, like these bishops' storages, what do they call that again? I used to be a Mormon. Anyways, you used to have to, one of the things they encourage you to have food storage, at least 2 years of food storage. Always, that's part of this end times trauma. It's one of the things that they use on people, right? The world's going to end. So they do the same things all the rest of them, right? That in the last days, and the world's going to come. Jesus is going to come, and all of a sudden, the world's going to be so much better, right? Because he's going to be this iron fist. He's going to be an awful lot like a Caesar, like a Kaiser, like an emperor. there's some totalitarian system in which anybody that breaks the rules will pay a heavy price, right? But everyone's going to start obeying the rules, and finally there'll be love in the world. But these same people are saying that, meantime, they're molesting their children. They're literally sacrificing their children. That there's more evidence for what they call this SRAs, satanic ritual, whatever the hell it's called. There's more of that going on in the Mormon Church alone than any of these satanic communities that we know of. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in certain satanic communities, but there's a higher degree of it happening and within the churches. When you look at this stuff, Eddie, one has to ask the question seriously: what is the results of following this thing? Seriously,
Well, it's deception, right?
it's
It's
worse
all
than that.
deception.
It's worse than that, Eddie. You and I know of this. Not only do they not take care of the children because they can't heal the children in these hospitals, they do the complete opposite. The people at the very top are constantly being caught with what? Assaulting
Yeah,
babies, little kids,
yeah,
boys and girls. And in the meantime, too, the people turn a blind eye and they
yep.
keep paying these people. They keep paying these things, these entities, these beings, these bits of narcissism, of this narcissistic God or entity energy. They keep paying it so we can keep doing it. It's really bizarre when you really pay attention to it. It's
Well, I thought that if I brought up the children, I would make a major impact in this cult, right, known as Christianity. And boy, was I wrong. Um, they actually find now they're attacking me with, well, you're doing this because you hate Christianity. Who cares about the motive? I just made a video about this today. Who cares about my motive? Is my message true? Yes, it is. The children are being hurt by the pastors in the name of Jesus in his house. And this Jesus is claimed to be omnipresent and all knowing. Therefore, he was there. He knew about it, did absolutely nothing about it. So he enjoys watching this. I mean, there's no excuse for any of this.
maybe it feasts on it. Do you ever think of that? That maybe it's actually thriving off it, feasting off all this. You see,
I I believe that this is how this demonic entity gets its energy. If this spirit of darkness has 2.48 billion people worshiping it, it has to have authority. It has to. There is no other way.
like it's like Jesus is no different than Yahweh or the Demiurge. It's really, as much as people want to believe that it's something other, we always hear about the Christ, and
Yeah.
which, by the way, I believe that each and every one of us has light in us to do good, but we
Hmm.
still have to wrestle with the darkness that's in this as well. And Jesus doesn't seem to be too interested in doing that for you. So
Now Jesus is interested in helping, the people that make bad decisions in their lives. The innocent children, he doesn't have time for that, and I find that very suspect because a righteous God would put you, me, everybody else who has had a longevity in life aside and go protect the children, and he has failed the children miserably. I mean, we emphasis on miserably. He has failed the children by a lot. And how people still take their children to these houses of the devil, approximately 330,000 of them in the United States alone, some of which are carrying the SA insurance coverage, right? How do you do that? How do you take your children to a place that has SA insurance coverage? How do you do that? as a sane human being, how do you expose your children to this? It's hard to understand, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you, the only thing I could think is that the vast majority of them actually don't know that that exists.
But they do know that the children are being hurt, right?
Yeah, I think so
Uh,
too. Yeah, I think there's a, but I
so
think,
with so with that, I mean, so if I said, hey Mike, look, here's a bowl of grapes, man. One of them, one of them is poisonous. Would you reach in there, grab a couple of grapes, and throw them in your mouth?
of course not.
Exactly. So if we know that one child has been hurt, why would we take our children to these churches? Why would we? This is again because this Jesus requires worship for its authority. And what I have found is, so let's say I come to you, Mike, and I say, "Oh my God, Jesus saved me. I was in a terrible accident, and I mean, I walked out of it, just completely walked out of it." Well, I can find non-believers, right? Air fingers quote non-believers that had the exact same experience. So it wasn't Jesus that did it, right? It was coincidence. It was the law of averages, whatever. I don't know what it was, but it was not Jesus that did it. It was not God. It was not whatever, name you want to use. It just so happened you were fortunate, you were lucky, and you were safe for whatever reason. It wasn't your time, whatever, you know.
But I mean, if I told you guys all things I learned this week just in what's going on in the Mormon Church, you'd be, uh, I don't know how anybody. Serious, this is about this insurance. 7 facts about church molestation insurance coverage and costs.
Yeah.
Church
I,
molestation insurance plays a significant role because churches are meant to be a place of sanctuary and safety. Still, unfortunately, they have not been immune to cases of sexual abuse by clergy members.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I do want to address Rainbow Sandson. No, not all churches carry that insurance coverage as of now, but I'm pretty confident that number is going to increase because more people are beginning to expose what is actually happening. No longer are the people afraid. No longer are the victims in fear. And there's people like me that are exposing this stuff, and Mike here that are exposing this stuff, and we're bringing, I guess, how would you say it, a public announcement or advisory out and letting people know, hey, just so you know, man, this is going on. You know,
Yeah, the only power that it has is appear as seems to be negativity in the long run. The love bombing and the emotional stuff that goes on with the singing and all that is just an illusion for what's behind the scenes and waiting for you and your children. It says here, church molestation insurance covers churches and other religious organizations for claims related to sexual abuse or misconduct committed by their employees, volunteers, or members. It is designed to protect churches from financial damages resulting from lawsuits, settlements, and judgments related to sexual abuse claims. Well, for a couple of things here, because everyone's trying to, insurance companies are profiteering off this too, so it shows how evil they are. But the fact of the matter is this: it says about the insurance companies too that they even think of such a thing as being justifiable. But it's saying here clearly that it's not just the priest or the pastor; it's sexual abuse and misconduct committed by employees, volunteers, and or members.
well, yeah, but
You have there's not. This is not a safe place for anyone to bring the church is not safe to bring your loved ones, or your children. Obviously, you see it right there.
Well, see, I mean, we have. I mean, if we're being honest here, if you believe in this, Jesus character right off the bat, you cannot be considered sane, right? Um, Furthermore, notice what it says: employees. Show me the scripture where there's employees of a church. Doesn't exist.
right.
It doesn't exist. And I did some research also myself. And guess what? They're listed as companies. The churches are listed as companies
That's right.
with a nonprofit endorsement.
So there's 501c
Yeah, they're listed as companies, Mike. They're not listed as churches
for business.
for business.
And you're going to pay for their insurance so they can bless you and your children.
Ain't that nice?
Isn't it? I mean, and Jesus not going to do a damn thing about it.
Amun Ra. Amun Ra.
Yeah, it's right, isn't it?
I mean, this is so ridiculous. And yes, Rainbow, this is why I speak against it. Because how would a sane human being take their children or their wives? Let's just say their wives. I just posted a video in a congregation of 400, on an average 400 person congregation. At least 7 women are abused in a church on average. It's not even the children, it's the women too. I mean, I tell you, when I was in John Hagee's church, man, I love to go because, I mean, those see-through slacks and what was under those, I mean, I was having a blast. Why would a woman dress like that to church? Because there's no respect anymore. This is the spirit of this Jesus. It's a deceiver. Now, did I complain? Absolutely not. I was ready to come the next Sunday. Hopefully she showed up again. I didn't care. Nobody cares. And like you said, man, I walked into John Hagee's church. They had these big old golf carts with like 3 seats on them, 4 seats on them. I have pictures of me and the kids from the car being carted all the way to the church, and you get into the church and all the males are they're hugging you and welcoming you. On my first time into John Hagee's church, I was literally 10 feet from John Hagee at the very front. I could have probably reached over and touched him. That's how close I was. And guess what? He's a deceiver. Very evident with his book, right? The 4 Blood Moons. Did he return the money to all the people that bought that book? Absolutely not.
You're dumb enough to buy it. That's your problem, right?
Yeah.
That's their attitude.
And it is sickening. It is very sickening. This is why I stand against it. And I'm getting threatened. I mean, I'm getting threats over this. You can imagine what I'm being told, but personally, I don't care. I'm standing up for the children that are being hurt, the women. I've spoken to the women. I have a woman out of Dallas that was dating a pastor. My God, the story she told me. And it's true, man. These books, this is why I speak the way I speak on my, TikTok page. I call the book perverted because it is perverted. Anybody that's stuck in that book is perverted because the books are perverted. I found out that the Song of Solomon was written about a 12-year-old little girl. And look at what it says. Read what it says. And we talk about Muhammad. Oh, yeah, you're Muhammad over there. The Song of Solomon was literally about a 12-year-old girl. It's sickening.
And I can just picture Mormon bishops and, evangelical fathers singing it to their kids or saying to the kids right before they're ready to. I mean, there's a lot of abuse that goes on throughout all of Christendom. So, child abuse, they're good at it. They'll get you to focus on the Mormons or on the Catholics,
Oh
or,
yeah, they.
it will be the Southern Baptists. They always the other group. But the problem is when you look at it in totality, all the groups, they say, well, not everyone's doing that. Really? How do you know? Well, that may be not so, but how many are doing it? And how's come they're still getting away with it? Not only that, they've managed to finagle away to get insurance to pay for it if they get caught doing it.
Well, I had a guy that's actually a member of this church that I looked up because he gave me the name, Bar None Church out of Park Hills, Missouri, and he's actually one of the 6 contacts listed for that church. And he's like, "Oh, come on, it was only 4% of the crimes committed by clergymen is sexual assault." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, shit. Thank God it's only 4%." These people are so indoctrinated by the nonsense. It should not be one child, much less 4%. There should not be one woman assaulted, much less 4%. And he said, well, only a few of the churches are carrying the insurance. These are the houses of Jesus, right? That's what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, the
We're
4%.
not talking about we're not talking about a club. We're talking about the house of Jesus, allegedly, right? So why would one of them have this insurance coverage? That answers the question answers itself, doesn't it?
Yes. It's just sick. So this is a church executive, the magazine. And they got these sweet kids there, right?
Mhm.
Child sex abuse and insurance coverage, avoiding common pitfalls. So is it saying anything about the children that have been abused? No, it's just it's like, hey, this is what you need to do to save money in case you get caught with your pants down, literally. These are children, and they're being abused by these creatures that call themselves pastors and priests, ministers,
Yeah.
rabbis, imams, and I would never voluntarily ever allow anybody to spend any adult spend any time alone, especially male, with my son. I wouldn't do it. Now, if it's done behind my back and I don't know about it, that's one thing. But if I'm knowing about it, there ain't no way in hell I will ever. I don't need a school principal wants to spend time with my son after school. Ain't gonna happen because those creatures are found everywhere.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's a huge percentage of people that are somehow involved in this.
Yes.
It's not just the United States; it's across the world. But there's a
Yes.
huge percentage of adults, and I never knew this and started seriously researching it. We're talking up to maybe in double digits, maybe anywhere up to maybe 18% of the population is being involved with this, adult population at some point or another. And most of them will be in religious institutions. I think there's something seriously wrong with the whole. I think that what happens is instead of teaching people how to live in this world, they teach people to live in their fantasies and in their illusions. And they instead of being honest about stuff and dealing with the darkness in their shadow work, these churches not designed to do that. They keep that repressed until it pops like a zit into something tragic. I don't see any other purpose for it. Why, if It's 2024. If it's really about making this world a better place, they should be teaching people how to make this world a better place, and not just keep on pushing words in a book, spells in a book, spell casting from a collection of books from 2,000 years ago. People are not learning life skills or living skills in these churches. What they are doing is sessing up each other, creating these pyramidal structures in which the more predacious, the bigger narcissists, predators thrive in it. This is not just once in a while. This is on a daily basis. Somebody's somewhere in the United States alone is something tragic is about to happen in these churches of God, and we can't talk about that. So,
Well, that's how they get them, right? Because this is the Church of Christ, as if Christ is such a good guy, you know. Think about the heroes of the Christians. David. David walked around with a belt of foreskins, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like, these are the heroes of the Christian community. It was supposed to be 100. He's like, nope, I want to handle 200. I'm like, why would you do that? Jonathan unrobes himself in front of David. Again, this is the hero of the Christian community. This is sickening.
and then of course, then there's the cannibalism part of it, right? And then subconsciously, how that affects many people. And it seems to be a lot of these SRA events, these rituals that are done, in which a lot of these children that seem to go missing every year end up in being another human being's dinner plate, and they call themselves Christians or followers of Jesus, and it's over and over again. Now, it's not just them alone, of course, but there's an overwhelming majority of these evil events happen in these institutions. And you have to ask yourself, at least you should, subconsciously, what happens to a person if every single day they are make-believing that they are eating of the body and drinking of the blood of Christ?
Well, that's a whole different topic there, right? In Luke chapter
Yeah.
7, I forgot the verse, but I found it very interesting that because there are clearly two Jesuses. I mean, Paul quotes it in 2 Corinthians 11, verse 4. But this Jesus says, John the Baptist comes neither drinking wine nor eating bread, yet you say he has a demon. That verse just threw me off when I read that. Because a few chapters later, Jesus is like, well, this is my body and this is my blood. And I'm like, why would Jesus say, hey, you guys are calling John the Baptist a demon? This dude's not eating bread nor drinking wine. And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, you all need to drink wine and eat bread. It makes no sense.
It makes sense if you're dealing with something that's evil.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do believe that this Jesus character is extremely evil.
Come on, man. Insurance fire drill. I can't. It's glitching on me. Come on, guys. Sexual abuse fire drill. Insurance fire drill. Damn. It's really lagging on me. I wanted to look at that. Okay. So, anyways, all this insurance is about avoiding responsibility.
Well, put the insurance aside, Mike. Christianity is about avoiding responsibility. You become a Christian to become white as snow. Your victims no longer exist, only in your mind. This devil Jesus is so deceiving that he literally wipes the victims completely off the map. They don't exist. But we all know that they do exist. Even the Christians know that their victims exist. It's clear deception.
So it looks to me like SAM coverage just not only covers Christian or religions, but also it says organizations, contracted purchasing coverage, healthcare providers and organizations such as doctors, psychiatrists, medical offices. Whatever happened, if you're going to break the law, you should pay for it. Why should you get a right to have insurance if you're breaking the law? See, this is the thing. Remember, this is as much as they want to argue about it, whether it's a Christian society or not. It's a Judeo-Christian society. That's their claim. And so this influences this whole, and it not only affects churches, but schools have it, educators have it, and transportation providers have it, social workers and social services. So they're all in the same boat. Instead of actually dealing with the problem culturally and politically across the board in this quote unquote Christian nation, what did they do? We'll just get insurance to cover our asses whenever we get caught with our pants down with a little kid.
Pun intended, right?
Yeah, and it's nasty. It's really just to think about who we are as a culture, as a people. Now, they've had 1,700 years to ingrain in us this great moral fiber of Christianity, right? And this is the outcome. This is the great result. Endless prisons. Insurance to cover the people at the very top in case they violate you or your children.
Well, see, here's what I have found out, Mike. Christianity never existed prior to. I mean, the Catholic Church was in existence. One could argue, right? I don't even believe that either. But Christianity began not in the first century. Christianity began in the 17th century. Ironically enough, after the King James Bible was released.
Because before that, it was called.
Well, the original followers of Jesus were called the Way. I'm not sure where you're.
Well, yeah, but so from 400 A.D. to 1700 A.D., it was Catholicism.
It was Catholicism. That's the only.
And
Even
what did it do? What did it do? It created the Dark Ages.
Yep.
It set everyone back 1,000+ years is what it did.
And I will tell you, the Dark Ages is an understatement. I mean, this is darker than dark. You know, when I took a look at all this, you know, that was going on. I mean, you were what words could I use? If I came to you, right? I was a Catholic, and I came to you and I said, you know, Mike, you haven't been a good Catholic. You had one choice, and that was to become a good Catholic. Because if you did not comply, you either ceased to exist or you were corrected. Kind of like Jesus was before the crucifixion. You were corrected. You were kind of, you know, taught a few lessons, if you will.
Yes. Well,
That's historical evidence. It exists. And then when we get to the 17th century, ironically enough, once again, or actually it's the 15th century, I believe. I don't remember when the Inquisition started, but maybe it's the 17th century. But ironically enough, it wasn't only the witches.
yeah, Inquisition started what, 1300? When did it start? I can look up what you're talking.
But it wasn't just the pagans that they came after. They actually came after political opponents too. So Christianity has been used for politics for a while, and it's being used today.
There it goes. Some say it's 1184 is when the Inquisition started.
What, 11?
1184.
Yeah.
Others say it's 1220, and I'm sure that it was much earlier than 11, because nobody wants to admit the fact that it really existed.
Well, I mean, the original church, right, from the country of Vatican, they definitely don't want to admit that. But if we look at the origins of the Methodist Church, the Baptist Church, all these different sects, sects, all these sects, they didn't exist before the 16th century. I mean, the 17th century. And guess who started them? It was people that immigrated from England, coincidentally enough, where the King James Bible was released, and they came over here and they started their own little beliefs. This is crazy.
I can't believe they can't. And this is how dishonest the whole thing is too. Nobody can get the dates right. It's anywhere from 1100, around 1184 AD, anywhere from 1478 to, some say the 15th century. Some say, I mean, they can't get honest even with the date on when they started it.
Yeah, I thought it was the 15th century. It was like in the 1400s. I thought that's when they started. But you're right. When you start looking at all this history, there's all this mumbo jumbo out there. Why? Because they're hiding the truth.
That's right. And this Jesus, this egregore, has done nothing to correct any of it.
It's been done in whose name, Mike?
In its name.
Yep. All of it has been done in the name of Jesus.
Are you willing to watch another video? Take a break.
Go ahead.
I want to pee too. So let's play this. This is really interesting. Something for you guys to think about, because we're going to go all over the place tonight, hopefully.
What we call reality is composed of memories in various dimensions, layers, and structures of expression. You are a field of sentient memories we call consciousness. Memories manifest as thoughts, ideas, images, emotions, dimensions of time and space, patterns, cycles, rhythms, sounds, frequencies, vibrations, particles, organisms, and material forms and structures. All memories originate from a dimension of infinite potential, of energy, sometimes referred to as the void, source, dark space, the cosmic womb, or the morphogenetic field, amongst other names. We don't yet have the consciousness or the memory capacity to fully articulate or depict the complete nature of our universe. This is a very crude cross-sectional depiction of our universe. Our universe is a hyperbolic toroidal field composed of memories expressed through vibrating frequencies of energy. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So the universe, our universe, is a dipolaric field with two wave amplitudes of vibrational frequency, magnetic and electric energy. One side of our universe, or one hemisphere of our universe, is a magneto-electric field, and the other hemisphere is an electromagnetic field. So our universe has two hemispheres, two fields, dipolar. yin and yang, the hypersphere, the heliosphere, hyperbolic and atomic, dark matter, light matter, magnetic, electric, heaven or Hyperborea, hell or Helios, the womb or the tomb. These are the two hemispheres of our universe. The center of our hyperbolic universe is where memories materialize. This center in the middle is where memories materialize into matter. It is the densest area of memories where energy matriculates and manifests into various material structures and realities. This is the plane of inertia, the heart or the earth of our universe. Two hemispheres and a plane of inertia. We are here in the heliosphere of electron light. In the tomb, the underworld, the tomb of Lucifer, the dimension of biophotons, electrons, and atoms. Don't be spooked out, Lucifer just means light. Above us is the womb, the hypersphere. On the other side, it is the womb of etheric Mercury, or dark matter. Heaven, the upper world of bioluminiferous plasmic energy. So our world is atomic electromagnetic energy. That's our hemisphere. And the upper hemisphere is etheric magneto-electric energy. In this hypersphere of Hyperborea, the black sun of mercurial dark matter, Mercury, Moon, the black sun, orbits the toroidal axis mundi of this dimension. This is the black hole vortex, the axis mundi of Hyperborea, Mount Olympus, Mount Meru. The black sun orbits around this vortex. Here, in our heliosphere, our white sun of atomic electrons of light orbits our toroidal axis mundi. So we've got the black sun and the white sun. The black sun in Hyperborea and the white sun in the heliosphere. Magnetic black sun, electric white sun. Inverse waves from the black sun, transverse waves from our white sun. Yin and yang, both hemispheres of our universe have terrestrial and celestial planes. We are Pangea. Yeah? So,
anyways, we can watch the rest of it later. Anyways, thanks for that. I needed to take a break. Let's see. Nikola Tesla said that. Yeah, he certainly did. Nikola Tesla. So, yeah, so we know that there's absolute corruption that's in the called Christianity and the church. So then the answer is, first of all, we need to encourage as many people not to be involved with it and to walk away from it. Do not spend your money, your time, your energy on it. And that'd be the first thing to do. And then, so those of you who are thinking about maybe going back to church, you might want to think twice now that you know that they have insurance to protect them in case they get caught with their pants down. Eddie's not here. It looks like, so maybe I'll...
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Would you like me to play the rest of that video?
That's up to you, man.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No.
I think it's thought-provoking, make people think about what our reality is. Not just the dark side of it, but a more holistic side of it. So here we go.
Heliospheric zodiac world of Pangaea or Pangaea, the Capricornian human world, has and still is quarantined from the other world. We are in quarantine. We in this world of Pangaea have been cursed by an atomic sleeping spell. A simulation sphere was placed around us. This is the Ark of the Covenant of our zodiac world. We are in the Ark. This is where we live. Inside. We, human beings, we are Pandora. Pandora means hidden gift. We are the hidden gift. Sometime in the past, there was a great war of the world that nearly completely destroyed Pangaea. The Ark of the Covenant was placed around Pangaea to incubate Pandora and Pangaea. This is an incubator, the yellow submarine. The whole of Pangaean realm was completely tropical before this war. Everywhere was tropical. It was Amazonian, everywhere. Before the Great War of the Worlds. All the deserts of our world today, all the deserts and barren areas, sub-Saharan deserts, are atomic bomb sites. They're remnants of the Great War of the Worlds. Just as Pandora was burning during this Great War, the Atlanteans, the water people on the outside, released their waters from their realm into our realm to quell the fires from the atomic bombs. Then placed the Ark of the Covenant around Pangaea or Pandora, freezing all the beings that were inside into a time capsule of memory capitulation. We are all inside a time capsule of memory capitulation. This is the spell of a tomb placed on Pandora. You are Pandora under the spell of a tomb inside a time capsule. During our quarantine here in Pandora, there are some disagreeable forces from other worlds that were trapped in Pandora that have made it their business to control and subjugate all the other inhabitants of Pangaea. So using magic to harvest energy from the moon, which by the way is a projection. The moon is a projection of the black sun. It's a harvesting portal. So using magic to harvest energy from the moon, they have created an artificial simulation matrix that mimics the original natural reality code of this world. Simulation means similar. They've put an overlay and used magic that they've harvested from the moon. The moon isn't bad or good. It just harvests energy, which can be transmuted and transduced by anyone who knows how to. The spell of Atum is wearing off. The simulation is disintegrating. The moon memory clone programming is reversing. And many are beginning to awaken from the simulation spell. The simulation is glitching. The simulators are working overtime to rewrite the spell of Atum. The reason why the simulation is glitching is because the original starseeds are awakening. Pangaea is rising. Pandora's box is being lifted. All of you out there, starseeds, doing the work. Keep doing that shadow work. Keep integrating. Keep healing, grounding, rising, centering, accelerating. We're holding the frequency. This is a frequency, a vibration, a resonance. For those in tune with this frequency and this resonance, rise, Keep rising. Whatever you're here to witness and experience, whatever you do, keep your frequency. This is our time. This is our moment. Lights, camera, action. The simulation is glitching and it's trying to capture as many memory fields as possible. And many will be captured by the spell of the simulation. Those of you with memory codes that are originally from this realm, keep holding that heart frequency. Keep that heart frequency going. The star seeds from other star systems, from other constellations of the plane of inertia, we give thanks for you returning and coming to assist in this ascension, for your presence during this monumental time. We give thanks for your guidance, for your vibration that has enabled those of us who are asleep to awaken and remember.
Anyways, thank you. Thanks, Eddie. As you can tell, I'm struggling tonight. So, anyways, yeah, man, this is an important topic. So, simulation. Part of the simulation that we're in is something similar to something but it's not real. Part of the simulation is Jesus, from my observation. Part of that, and this thing called Christianity or the Abrahamic faith, they're part of the simulation. And our job is to help bring it down. This is how I see it.
It's our way out.
Right. First, yes, it's a necessary step to our way out. We can't stay stuck in this. We got to move forward. We got to move out of it. So that was a cool video. Thanks.
People don't. Yeah, thank you. People don't understand that Christianity is a way of it's like the recycling bin of this world. You come right back to hell here. If you get away from Christianity, then I believe there's a high possibility that you go somewhere else. You know, and I mean, if it was
now
where.
When you say get away from Christianity, to me that means that doesn't mean go join something else. It doesn't mean to go join something else, another cult. It means to stay away from all these different cults and all these institutions are part of the matrix, part of the simulation, and start finding your own authentic self. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you become who you are. You realize who you are.
So, yeah, it just makes me think of Brandon for some reason. So there's this young man, and he's found Jesus, and then he became a pastor just like that. Apparently, it doesn't take much to become a pastor these days. And now he's really put himself in the matrix, and he's going to try to bring as many as he can with him, right? Convincing everyone else that they're going to hell. When that's part of what this egregore, this entity, this being wants you to believe. It wants you to believe that you're going to a box in the sky called New Jerusalem, or you're going to go to the grave. That's what hell is. It's not, of course, it expanded upon it and it convinced people now that it's thanks to Dante's Inferno that you're all going to burn and you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of demons. But I would argue that if you were to pay attention to what's really going on and what's not around you, there's a whole bunch of quote unquote demons or evil spirits around you right now. You just can't see them, right? So you're going to see them on the other side? Yeah, I bet you are. And I bet a lot of you who are following Jesus, that's exactly where you're going to go. That thing is going to pretend to be Jesus, and you're going to spend a little bit of time with his dark buddies. And you're not going to be all that happy. But don't worry about that. If you feel like you're singled out as a Christian, if you're a Jew, you're going to do the same thing. And if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu or whatever you are, because you've lost your true essence, you're part of the matrix. So you identify as something external, something outside yourself, and therefore it's your true essence, that who you are, the spark of life, of light, or the orb, whatever, is going to go right back into the matrix where you're most comfortable with, because you have not prepared yourself to walk away from it. And you have to start walking away from it here. That's the gig. And I don't think people like to hear that. I don't know what you think about that, Eddie. We have to walk away. Got to be able to say no.
Well, not only do you have to walk away, you have to deny it. You can't just walk away from this devil Jesus. You have to actually deny this demon. And I'm telling you, I'm all in on it. This is a demon spirit.
That's the reason why I burnt the Bible.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. But I always say this: diabetes. Do Christians get it? Yes. Whatever. Name any disease. Do Christians get it? Yes. Where do Christians end up when it's all said and done? 6 feet under the ground, just like everybody else. So what's the whole point then? Billy Graham is in a tomb somewhere in a cemetery somewhere. They tell you he's over there, playing cards with Jesus, but that's how do you prove that? How do you know that the non-believer that served his community his entire life is not with Jesus, and Billy Graham isn't? You can't prove it.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. What if, in the end of the day, well, I don't know. I mean, you say you can't prove. We can't prove. I guess you're saying we can't prove where Billy Graham is today.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I know where he's at. He's buried 6 feet under the ground.
Well, his corpse is, but are you talking about the meat suit is? But what about the rest of them?
Correct. I mean, who knows where he's at? We don't know.
Well, he's a great servant for the Matrix, so I imagine they've awarded him with a very special place here. Whether here is walking around as a ghost or is one of the levels of the astral plane, right? Maybe he's in some kind of school indoctrinating. I mean, there's a lot of, I've been paying attention to a lot of near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, people astral project, and they talk about their cities on the other side, but they're even more totalitarian than they are here, more fascistic, more communist on the other side than here, right? And that these cities are like training centers, training schools, conditioning schools, indoctrination camps to prepare you to come back here or to somewhere else that feeds this matrix. Now, I don't know how anybody else feels about the matrix, but this place sucks. And whatever made this place sucks too for making this shitty place, because they had a million other options. This is the thing about this. So, Creator God, it's one thing I talk about, because this is one thing I've been wrestling with late. I don't say I got the answer, but it seems to me just like that video we watched in the beginning. that the Creator God is a very narcissistic God and is a God that wants us to believe in predeterminism and wants us to believe that we, even on this physical plane, that we have no free will. But we do have free will, it turns out. And that free will is that we can say no to this shit. We don't have to be in, I mean, we still got to live in this life. I mean, you could go all the way, which I don't recommend because I think it's a one-way ticket back here if you take yourself out. But the thing is, but I can't prove that, but that's what I think. Um, the only thing that I think is there are those of us who are true rebels. We are born to be true rebels. We've always been rebels against this matrix, against this simulation. And that we have a choice. We can lose our true soul or essence by conforming, or we say no and rebel against it, fight the best way we can. And the most rational, logical way to do it is obviously physically we can't do it, but we can intellectually, spiritually, we can expose this stuff. We can warn people not to be part of it.
Well, what's the common thing with when you said out of body experiences? What's near death experiences and all that? What's the most common thing, or people that have actually allegedly passed, right? What's the most common thing? They were in the care of medical professionals, right? That's the most common thing. They were in the care of medical professionals. So if Jesus is a great physician, why would you be with a medical professional to begin with?
Oh, I hear where you come from. Well, this. I know a lot of times these people have the out of body experiences, even when there's not a medical professional. And a lot
Yeah,
of
but
people who astral project, they do it in their bedrooms and in their homes and with friends and all that. So,
the great majority of those people are under the influence
of
of some form of narcotic.
when they have out of body experiences, no, they
Yep.
don't. No, when people who astral project, that's the farthest thing from it. Most of them
But
are.
I have yet to meet somebody that astral projected allegedly that was not under DMT or some form that hadn't
Or our
taken
body
some.
produces that, definitely that. But I know I haven't done any astral projecting since I was a child. But once somebody explained to me what astral projecting was, I clearly did it. There's many times that I somehow my essence, my spirit, floated out of my body and above the trees and above my neighborhood, and only to me get freaked out and snap back into my body. And I remember the times when it happened, my body would jerk all over the place. Um, so I mean, and then I discovered there's a lot of people doing it. So like
Correct.
Bob Earl. So out of body experiences, it seems to be an overwhelming, at least, but a lot of these things too. The problem is the only way you can know if it's real is if you have your own experience, and that's what a lot of people are saying too. In order to help prepare yourself to get to the other side, one should try to do some astral projecting, try to do some out of body experiences on your own, and see how it works, and see if you have that experience, and face that fear. Part of that thing is facing the fear of death, right? When someone's, I think a lot of us, we fear death because of the uncertainty was on the other side. But I think if you prepare yourself a little bit better, just know that there is something on the other side, it's going to always be something. It seems like it's never going to, I don't know if we're ever going to have the technology in this simulation to give it. They're going to give us that technology, as far as going to some doctors or some facilities and have them test and prove that you're having an out of body experience. I think you have to do it on your own.
Well, once again, this is why I said the great majority. There, there, there are people that I believe that can do that. There are people that I believe that can speak to those that have passed. I believe actually the great majority of humans could do that. Maybe 900 years ago, maybe even 400 years ago. but for some reason they stopped teaching us. The point that I was making is a lot of the people that claim that they did this were under the influence of some form of narcotic. It doesn't mean that people. I'm not saying that people cannot do it. I believe that you can. I believe we think about the children. How many toddlers have we recorded nowadays speaking to an imaginary friend, right? Or shall we call it an imaginary friend? But they're actually having a conversation with somebody.
That's right.
Because in our purest state, I believe, I am convinced that we can do those things. But then we become corrupted, right? So therefore, if as one grows up, right, then you no longer depend on somebody else to nurture you. You start nurturing yourself based on the society that that you're in, the social, the social um, surroundings that you're in.
Yeah, epigenetics, that kind of thing. Your environment influences greatly. That's the reason why we're talking about Christianity instead of Hinduism, right? If we were
Correct.
in the end, we'd probably be talking about the corruption of Hinduism or Mohammedanism or whatever it may be. So, yeah, I do agree with that. And the way you see the world politically, you know, how the world works, your worldview, it's definitely shaped by the people around you. But I think that's part of the process that we have to do and come to find ourselves is we have to challenge all these things. We have to challenge all the things that we cherish, the constructs, the mental constructs that have been provided for us. We have to challenge it and see where the strengths are and where the weaknesses are, and make a decision if we go with the strengths or stay stuck in the weaknesses. And ultimately, I think that it's really, and it seems almost it is selfish in a way. One has to become, I don't know how you say this. You have to live in this world, but you have to learn how to prepare yourself to uh, live out of this world and in the next life. And that requires some time and thought and meditation and reflection, right? And in the end, it could be deceived too. This creation might be so bad, it could be a lot worse than I want to admit. Maybe it's nothing but an endless loop of reincarnations, soul trap, patience. Are we nothing more than a fleeting memory after this life? Just a piece of something? Or is there anything at all? I mean, it's fair enough. These are questions that we should be concerned about too, about this situation that we're in. At least I feel that way, that we don't have certain answers for ourselves. And since we don't, the thing is, because we can't live in the abyss and the darkness, we go running to the next person or thing that has the answers or perceived answers until we challenge it, right?
Well, that's kind of how it works, and that's why I wanted to make that point, because people that proclaim to do things don't always actually have the ability to do it. They just claim that they can. So I do believe that people can um, kind of go into the spiritual realm and in the another dimension, and there's a lot of evidence, right? There's that guy taking a picture with a cell phone in Mike Tyson's fight, in 1988 or 89. You know, I mean, I don't know if that's real or not, but to me,
What are you
it's
talking?
possible.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, if you Google the cell phone, uh, the cell phone man or something on Mike Tyson's 1989 fight, there's a dude literally with a cell phone recording the fight
Oh,
in in the
I
crowd.
get. So it's like almost like time travel type thing or something.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, yeah. Well, wouldn't be all that surprising that somebody had some form of cell phone then, right? I mean, that's usually the case, isn't it? Things are developed and slowly they're released to us as they feel it suits their agenda, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody had a cell phone back then. Now, if you were to say something like 1889, that would be pretty cool. That'd be like, whoa, that would make sense. But the problem with this whole place is that none of it makes sense. The simulation argument does make sense to me in the sense that it all seems to be a giant show. I mean, I'm not talking the flesh and blood. I mean, go walk out in the woods, go hunting, go, interact with the reality, the physical realm, and that's not just a light show, but there's stuff around us, and it's definitely what's between our ears. What is it that's between our ears? Is this simply just, some people want to insist that it's this, that, or the other, but the truth is, do we really know? We still don't even know what the consciousness is. We still haven't fully mapped the brain. So everyone acts like they know, but do we know? So I don't know. That's the honest place where I'm at. And I'm okay with living in uncertainty. For there's one thing I am certain. For this dude, belonging to any kind of cult, any kind of group, it ain't going to happen.
Well, ditto. I mean, I'm not, I'm done with that too.
So what do you think about this God from the Bible and Jesus? Do you think they're enemies of free will?
No, I think they're made up. I think there's a spirit of darkness that they call Jesus or Yahweh or, but I think they're all Allah. I think they're all made up. I don't think they're real. But if they're given worship, then they become real.
That's right. An egregore, thought form becomes real. It has real power. It seems to be the case, right?
I mean, that's what I believe. I can't prove it, but it kind of seems like that's the case,
So what do we do, Eddie? What do you think? What are some of the answers outside of avoiding Christianity? Where do we go with this?
Well, I mean, you have to get away from the devil, Jesus. It's pretty obvious that Christianity is it's fraudulent, it's made up, it's not real. It never existed prior to the 17th century that I can find. We could talk about the Catholic Church, but think about this: what are the chances that in the 7th century, I'm just picking the 7th century, that there was, thousands of Catholic churches everywhere? It just doesn't make any sense. It's almost impossible to believe that would be the case. I believe this was something that was kind of natural to the Minor Asia area, right? The Roman Empire area. It wasn't something that was worldwide, and I think they want us to believe that, but I just don't see it.
Well, as far as Christianity, I think Christianity pretty much was just what you said. It's just in those areas, and Western, with Asia Minor and Western Europe, right? And
Yeah.
part of it, up to like Moscow and that kind of area. Yeah, it never, Christianity didn't spread until, like you said, well, basically with colonization, right?
Right.
there was no spreading. People weren't paying attention. I know, like my ancestors here, it's like the Jewish, and there's no concept of a Jesus or Christianity. You know, it wasn't until the Europeans showed up and they by brute force. That's how all these religions spread, through deception, manipulation, corruption, brute force. That's how it spread.
And I think they're kind of going back to their roots, man. I really believe that the Christians are beginning to freak out because I believe that they're beginning to realize that you can only sell shit for so long, you know. And I think they understand it, and I think they're going to go all out on the 8th to try to prove that Jesus is real. I mean, I heard that they're going to sacrifice a red heifer on the 29th in Jerusalem. So when I heard that, I put two and two together, and I realized this is all Christianity. You know, they're gonna try to fake something because they realize that none of it's true, and many of us are catching on, and they don't know how to react to that.
Well, the only way to spread, the only way they've been able to do, is through brute force. That's
Correct.
it. There is no other option. If people are allowed to use what little free will that we have, freedom of consciousness, and to make a decision, if people were given all the evidence, the vast majority of people would not only reject Christianity, but in turn would seriously challenge all the other Abrahamic faiths. You soon realize that it's all not just made. Most people, the religion part's made up, but it's worse than that. Just like you said, the everything in the Bible's made up, character-wise. Or at least there's no way to prove it that it's real. There's no physical evidence, no archaeological evidence that it's real. That it was just like what Jeff says. It's just like a Spider-Man novel or a token novel where
Well,
go ahead.
Raptor Crazy noted something that I actually have researched. King Arthur.
King Arthur, yeah.
Yeah. Very similar, right? Very similar to Jesus and his disciples. Very, very similar.
Which that does beg the question: which came first, King Arthur and the Round Table, or did Jesus, or was it an amalgamation of things? Was it something that just kind of blossomed in the same amount of time, same time period, relatively speaking? Kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg type of thing. But it could be. The problem is there's more evidence. There's actually more evidence for King Arthur in the Round Table than there is Jesus, as far as I can tell.
Correct.
That's a bit of an issue. So,
Well, it's a big issue, and in all honesty, I mean, if the book is true, the books are true. Jesus clearly said in Mark 16, verses 17 and 18, these signs shall follow those that believe. There is no such thing as a believer today, according to that scripture. I don't even know how Christianity exists. That's how deceiving this spirit is.
it's a religion for narcissists. It is. I mean, think how narcissistic you have to be to think I'm going to become a pastor or a priest. That I actually know more or know better than the people around you. I mean, it's pretty arrogant when you think about it. Especially when you got nothing to back it up. Except words on page and nothing else. And of course, you got their buildings and your rites and rituals. But outside of that, the evidence is not in their favor that they're
Right.
teaching anything that's positive or healthy or beneficial to mankind. So
It's all deception, man. It's
it
all
is.
deception.
Well, that's the problem, Eddie. This is one of the big things to deal with in this place, and this was something I'm kind of wrestling with. This is another reason why I feel a little sick and down. Is I just really want to find an answer, and I can't find one that's solid.
Yeah, because the answer is within us. That's why.
Well,
We're looking outside of us and we're never going to find it.
so if we look inside us, well, to me, the answer is it's going to sound real negative. I'm trapped. I'm in a trapped, fucked up, worthless body. I'm in a trapped, giant open prison, and I want out. I want to escape. I've had enough of it. There's no point in being here. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
So what is the answer, man? And the answer, I think, really comes down to it's an individual thing. It's whatever you decide.
I believe it is an individual thing, and I believe it begins and ends with truth. If you cannot be honest, I'm not trying to be all Derek Jester here, but if you cannot be honest, then you have nothing.
That's it.
You have to be honest.
Yes. Which is always going to be a struggle. And it's important, I think, to have people in your life that have that premise, honesty, and it can be objectively as honest as possible, and be able to adapt and change one's beliefs. You know what I mean? And not assume that you got everything right, or that your belief system is going to lead you down the right path. So,
right. But think about Christianity, though. What's the one flaw that they have?
the dishonest.
They're dishonest.
You have to be dishonest.
Exactly. You cannot be honest and be a Christian. You can't. It's impossible.
No, this is it. So there's no other answer. But then the thing is, what is honesty at this point? For me, honest, it's to say, you know what? I throw up my hands and say, you know what? I have no freaking idea what this place is. That's the truth. And I don't like it. I don't know. Other people, maybe they're happy with it, but I think it's an incredible injustice to us all that we don't even know 100% sure, but we don't have 100% certainty of our position in this reality, what place we really are in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people claim they do on either side, whether atheist or a theist, and everything in between. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know anything.
We don't.
And that's wrong. I shouldn't have to spend thousands of hours to come to the same conclusion over and over again. And the answer is, I don't know. Or that this place is so evil and everything's a deception and there's nothing but just one negative thing after the other in this place, right? I mean, outside of maybe my son, people, a few people in my life, the vast majority of this whole damn place is cripplingly negative and evil.
Correct.
And
Well, who are the most deceptive and the most derogatory? They're the Christians. I mean, look at how they speak of themselves. They're not worthy. They are not worthy. They literally have convinced themselves that they are not worthy. That's deception.
And then we got like Diesel here saying that to know we were tricked, I think we all need to know. That's something I think that's a valid point. And you know, multiple cultures I'm discovering saw the same thing too. They talk about trickster spirit or spirits,
Yep.
and I think that's what's happened to us. I mean, we're constantly being deceived, manipulated, taken advantage of. And it's just like, I know we're not supposed to talk this way. The New Agers don't want you to talk this way. The Christians say, well, the only answer is Jesus. The Muslims say it's only Allah and blah, 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 blah. But I think the fundamental, the first thing is for any kind of real change is we have to be honest with the place that we're in, who we are and where we're in. Know thyself. And I know that I want to do good, and I know there's a shitload of limitations been put on me to keep me from doing much of it. And so, at least in this physical realm, and I'm not alone in that, and some of it I've created myself, but most of it has been subjected or pushed upon me. I never would have chose the life that I'm in. I never chose the direction I'm in, or for my son, and or for anyone else for that matter. Anyone that has any empathy, sympathy, or compassion would would be wishing that everyone else's life was a million times better, right? And clearly, Jesus is not the answer. Christianity is not the answer.
Correct.
And so
there is no authority. There is no power there is power in the name of Jesus, but it's a dark power. It's not a light that people are following. It's darkness.
because it doesn't lead to truth.
Correct.
If anything, it just leads to, if there is the truth, is the dark side of everything, right? It will lead you to know how you learn more about how what we call in quotes evil is, right? That's what you'll learn. Whenever you seriously study this stuff, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to see the corruption, the perversion, the distortion, the manipulation, that is the worst of the people who rise to the top, and Christianity is a big part of it. And the thing is, a lot of people, well, the Christians say otherwise. They'll say, it's all atheists are doing that. If everyone believed in Jesus, it wouldn't be this problem. Well, we have plenty of evidence of what happens when the vast majority of people just live out of that book and believe in Jesus. What happens? Over and over and over again. Nothing but really negative stuff. And I think it's really important that we talk about this and get seriously honest about it. So,
well, I mean, we already know we're halfway there because we know that the truth is not in Christianity, right? So we're already halfway there. There's no way.
So this whole thing about knowing of good and evil.
Well, it's pretty obvious.
Well, where's the good?
Well, the good is in us,
Right.
that are standing with the innocent children.
We're talking this way, right? At least.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it just seems, I don't know, man. It's exhausting is what it is. I think I'm going to try to do some positive affirmation stuff. Have you ever tried that?
I do it all the time. I have to.
Like stickers everywhere and positive things. And yeah, I imagine you would have to in your circumstances. It's not easy to do what you do. So, but
well, it's not easy to offend 2.48 billion people.
Actually, it's really easy to do that. The problem is how to get into their heads and make them realize they're going down the wrong path. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, they.
For me, all I have to do is just say one freaking sentence, and that's it. Most people are going to be pissed off for one reason or another. The tone of voice, I didn't say it the right way, etc., etc. You know what I mean? It's really easy to piss off somebody. Well, the biggest thing is how do you get into their heads and make them realize that they're living a lie?
I don't think we can. Um, I think people are chosen um, by a greater force. I call him the righteous God. I believe that people are chosen to be honest. People that were in the church and they're like, this doesn't make any sense to me. And we were chosen, and now we have to kind of carry this flag, if we will, and not let it fall. I mean, this is where we're at, and this is who we are.
Yeah. Should we play any of these Brandon videos, or should we let it alone?
Well, I think it would be a good closing to just so people can see how
Would you go
I
through?
bet, yeah, what I go through. Yeah.
In this, just let people know this is Brandon. I know Brandon. I knew Brandon long before Brandon knew Eddie. So I've known Brandon for 3 years at least. Whenever his mother passed away, he reached out to me. He had no one to talk to. Of course, at the time, I was still believing in Jesus. And then I'm watching him, and he's now all of a sudden he's claiming to be a pastor, and he's going after Eddie. But you pay attention to what he's doing. First of all, he puts like 3 seconds of what Eddie said, and so you have no idea what Eddie said. What did you say what was that response to? Which video? Do you have a clue?
I don't remember off the top of my head. But he said, notice what they do. They try to discredit me. They say that I'm not speaking truth, when in reality, everything that I say comes straight out of the book. Right? So they attack my credibility. Last night I was live, and this dude named Christopher was saying, he kept saying, you came across my radar 2 days ago, and I guess he ran a public data. He found my name or what have you. We talked about this last night, and he started talking about things that aren't even true.
Yes, after I've been saying that I don't believe in Jesus for quite a while now. If you go back in my videos, I burnt the Bible back in May of last year, so I don't believe in Jesus. And if there is a Jesus, it's an egregore, it's a type of spirit, and it's a very negative, dark spirit. So, anyways, let's listen to this video, Eddie. Let's find out what's going on with Brandon here, and then we'll discuss it. So I just want to bring this up, and I just want you to pay attention to Brandon's demeanor, as the arrogance, and that, I honestly think Brandon's using this as a way of promoting himself more than anything else, which I'm really disappointed with. Somebody that I know, but I'm not attacking Brandon, but at the same token, I think he should be brought up because this is an excellent example of what happens to a person, especially young in Christianity, inexperienced in what the Bible actually says, and ignorant about what's really going on in the world. So sometimes you see this young people of his age or experience, or, well, actually nobody should be a pastor. So anyways, check this out.
Look, here's the truth, folks. Those of us that know about...
First of all, you're not telling the truth because you're getting butthurt, for one. Number two, I'm noticing in the comments you keep calling every single Christian a boy lover, as in being a pedophile. This is literally what you're doing, and I'm noticing that. And like I said in the last video, I'm sorry you went through the experiences you did, trust me. But if anyone was a child lover, we're going to say it like that, if anyone was like that, and they say they're Christian, in actuality they were not Christian at all. They were of Satan. And you're basically becoming more Satanist when you're sitting here saying Christianity is evil. And in one of your videos, you had a thing saying Jesus is evil. Okay, if Jesus was supposedly evil, then why did he said in the Bible that if anyone were to harm these, if anyone were to harm these little ones, it's better if a millstone was wrapped around his neck and basically that individual being put to death. If Jesus was so evil and supposedly he, quote unquote, allowed children to be abused, why would he say something like that in the Bible? Called common sense. If you read the Bible, you would know this, but since you don't, you claim you know truth, you're a fool and you're wise your own eyes. Okay? This is why us Christians are getting bad rap. The true biblical ones, I should say. Because of people like you who want to say these things about us. Now, the ones that are doing this stuff, yeah, you can label them being the bad guys because they're the ones actually doing the act. But it's not just the so-called Christians. They claim they're Christians, but they're not. It's also the Catholics as well. And you're saying, no, it's only the Christians. You are so misinformed and ignorant, and you're so angry to even realize that. You have no idea how much damage you're doing yourself, don't you, dude? Well, I'm not getting into a fight with you because it's stupid. And you're probably like, oh, it's because you don't know anything. No, it's because I'm actually an adult and I know when to fight and when not to. And with you, you're just a waste of time. If I were to even try to do a debate with you, I don't do debates, but if I were to try to, you'd be a waste of my time. Literally, because you are so arrogant, you're very prideful, and you're buying into the demonic bullcrap. And you're allowing it to happen too, by the way. So technically, that's all your fault. Again, whatever bad experiences you may have, I'm sorry you went through that. But don't blame every single Christian just for what happened to you. All Christians are not like that. We were never like that to begin with. Over time, they started doing that. Here's why. Because the ones who said they're Christian, actually they were pagans. They were pagans that are doing it, and they were allowing this stuff. And you're playing right into their hands. Allowing the homosexual agenda. And buying into the drag queen stuff. Okay? Saying, oh, they were doing anything to kids. Okay, then why did they say, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children? That's demonic on steroids. And you go sit here and allow that, like, no. No, and that's the reason why there are people like me who will expose people like you who are teaching wrongfully and who are teaching a bunch of lies and hypocrisy, blasphemy, and heresy. So, yeah, you're wrong on so many levels. And again, whatever bad experiences you may have had, I'm sorry you went through that. No one should have to go through that. Okay, you probably got SA'd when you were a kid. You possibly did. And for that, I'm sorry. But don't blame every single Christian because of what happened to you. The true, real, biblical Christians, we're still around. We don't do that type of crap that you're claiming that we do. It's the ones that are doing it, the modern day Christians.
Wait 20 years.
They do that kind of stuff. We don't. Okay? That's called progressive Christianity. Progressive does that stuff. We don't. You need to know the difference before you start sitting here spreading lies that are not even true. So, yeah, at this point, I'm done with you because you want to sit here and keep talking nonsense. You want to sit here and spread lies. This is the last video I'll make about you.
Dude, you're mad.
So I appreciate if you don't comment on my video. I appreciate if you don't try and message me because you're literally wasting my time. And I have nothing more to say to you. With that, God bless. And I hope and pray you do come to Jesus Christ and actually know the truth. Because what you're teaching, pure false.
Well, there you go, Eddie.
Well, if you think about it, I did message him, and I actually sent him my number, and he ran like the queer Jesus that he follows. There is no bigger queer than Jesus. Everybody knows this. Anybody who's read this book knows this. And these people, notice how he contradicted himself. He said, well, they're not really Christians, and he called them progressive Christians, right? So it's just this is what I deal with and now it's actually become more sinister. Now I actually get, threats. Um, and I've realized, well, you know, big boy, you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to run away from defending the children. I believe in providing a better future for our children. Christianity is just. I mean, it's. He got mad because I call Christians boy lovers, the Christian males. I call them boy. I refer to them as boy lovers. And that's based on scripture. It's 2 Corinthians 11 verse 2. Uh, Paul said that he was going to present he was going to present the Christians as chastised virgins. So I tell every Christian male to make sure that they remain virgins. I don't know about the ones that've been in prison. Maybe they're not virgins anymore, but Jesus is going to have honey, one hell of a honeymoon. And to me,
Maybe a honey
the
trap.
or honey, yeah, whatever it is, right? But
By the way, Raptor, if you're still there, the guy in orange is the guy talking right now. This is Eddie. So
yeah, that's me.
He didn't show the whole video. He didn't show you in parts. Come on, man.
Well, it was a stitch. So only a few seconds comes out, but I think I have the entire video. I'm pretty sure I still have that. But like I said on my Discord page, I actually have the conversation with him, and he immediately blocked me, like every Christian does. They blocked me. But see, what I thought his job was to go after the lost sheep, right? I mean, it's contradiction after contradiction after contradiction in the Christian community. And notice how he didn't give a damn about the children. He said, "Well, they're doing it." He acknowledged that it was happening, but he didn't say what his plan of action was to stop it. He didn't say if the devil Jesus was going to do anything about it.
Well, he said
He
he's
was
going to be a pastor. He's a pastor.
Yeah,
It's Pastor Brandon.
yeah.
But apparently, it's
And
really easy to become a pastor these days.
oh, it is. I mean, I can become a pastor. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do it just for shits and giggles. Um, it's very simple. Cost you maybe $100. And I'm actually considering doing it. Just to, just like I said, just for shits and giggles, so I can force people to call me pastor. You know, so I can force Christians to call me pastor and refer to me as pastor. Um, I mean, because honestly, I mean, this is all ridiculous. And but nobody communicates. Very seldom do I have somebody that actually communicates with me. Every communication that I've had, every exchange or interaction that I've had with a Christian, it's all documented. It's all on my Discord page, and none of it is good. None of it. It's full of threats. It's full of. I mean, I've been called everything that you could possibly imagine. I mean,
Pastor,
I've even had Christians say that I got a week or two left of life, and that was about a few months ago. So they're false prophets. Um, this is what Christianity is. Either you buy into their nonsense and you cover up what they do when it's wrong, or they will come after you. You know, and it is what it is. But I'm not afraid. I don't fear a Christian because I believe that Christians are the weakest humans that exist on the face of this earth. If Christianity had possessed any fortitude at all, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in today. So I'm pretty comfortable saying that if we're waiting on Jesus to show up, good luck. You know, good luck, because that is simply not going to happen.
and we saw the great power of Christianity in the past 4 years. So, which is a contributing factor for the reason why I finally gave up on Jesus. I
Yeah,
given up on Christianity a long time ago, but I still held on to Jesus.
yeah,
But clearly, Jesus didn't come to the rescue in the past 4 years with a
Nope.
lockdown and everything else.
Well,
You know,
that's that. You brought up the lockdown. Christians hate when I bring that up. I'm like, here you are telling me this dude's the King of Kings, and the government stepped in and said, "Hey, y'all aren't going to worship your damn God." And Jesus was like, "Hey, I think you should go home." That's what he said. I think you all should go home. I mean, these guys look pretty, pretty serious.
put on your
But
mask and go home.
yeah, and you're trying to convince me that he's the King of Kings, that he's going to come and dominate the government that's been dominating him. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
We're not even being negative. We're just being pointing out the obvious.
Correct.
That's
This is not negativism. See, this is the problem. Is they take it as an offense, but the scripture is what supports what I'm saying, right? The Bible supports what I'm saying. So if people get offended, well, I'm sorry that you're offended. I'm not trying to offend you. That's why a lot of my videos say respectfully, or I'm not trying to be offensive or disrespectful, but you know, it's like, so many things that people say that is clearly not biblical. Notice he quoted Matthew, right? It's better to tie a millstone around your neck and jump into the lake than to hurt a child.
A little
When's
one.
the last time? Yeah, a little one.
One of the little
When,
ones.
yeah, when's the last time Jesus ever put or forced anybody to put a millstone around their neck? The pastors have been getting away with this for decades.
More than decades.
Yeah, it's been centuries, to be honest.
It's been more. Yes, it's been millennia. So.
Yeah, they've been getting away with this stuff, but they still believe that Jesus. Well, don't mess with Jesus, man, because he'll get you. He's not even getting his own. He's not even getting his own. Why would he come get me? He can't even control his own household, which is very common in the Christian community. Most pastors have no control of their households. Most pastors are remarried with members of the congregation. I believe that they were coerced into that marriage. I believe that they had an affair, and then that woman said, "Hey, you better divorce and marry me, or guess what? I'm going to come out and tell the truth."
Raptor
What a
said.
coincidence!
Raptor
Yeah.
says.
What?
All I
Huh?
can say is Raptor Crazy says. All I can say is real criminals and mafia people. You don't mess with women and children. If you do, you will get extra holes in prison. And I agree 100%. Well, that's the impression. There's certain of the organized crime that is that way. But when you look at like the Mormons and the organized crime syndicate that's in the Mormonism, which it is real, and they're very much involved with drugs, smuggling, human trafficking, and also with satanic ritual abuse of children. There's a constant thing going on with them is they abuse children. It's part of the rites and rituals at the very top. There's overwhelming evidence of it. It's part of the inner circle of what they do. And one of the things they do in these darker cabals is that they do use children as part of a way not only to manipulate each other and to control each other, but they do. They do some horrendous things. And a question doesn't mean Jesus helps those that help himself. Not quite sure. Jesus doesn't help anybody. That's what I discovered. The only people that help, we say, see that statement. I don't know what you feel about it, Eddie, but Jesus, there's no evidence Jesus ever helped anybody. The people that life's improved is because they help themselves. At times
There's people that claim it, that believe it, but I can find a non-believer that went through the exact same experience.
That's true. So the thing is It's this whole idea of having a high power. It did, for a season, it did help me believing in Jesus. But I also got honest with it too, right? It could take me so far, and it was actually not making me a better person. It was making me a worse person in many, many different ways. And in particular, when it came to confusion of the mind, hanging out with Christians, reading the Bible, talking to people, realizing nobody knew what they're talking about. And nobody could agree on anything. And so we're just like, but the one people that did know what they were talking about, the people who actually read the scriptures. And Eddie was one of those guys that read the scriptures with me and did some studying with me. And so he pointed out some scriptures. I pointed out something to him too, of the contradictions and everything. And you're like, wait a minute. There's something seriously wrong with this thing called Christianity, the Bible, and Jesus. There's nothing but lies and confusion. And there's, for every positive thing that happens, there's 1,000 negatives in this world. And for some reason, people don't want to be honest with it. They just don't want to be honest with it. I think it's because they're afraid. I think we're conditioned to be afraid to walk this world alone in our own power. And some of us is going to be a lot more, say, glorious than others. Most of us walking in this world in our own power is not going to be all that inspiring, but it is what it is. And it's more real than believing in something outside yourself. This is what Christianity and all these organizations, this is part of the matrix, the simulation that we live in wants. It wants us to believe in anything other than ourselves. One should ask that question, why is that? Why does this system want to convince you and I that we're sinners and that we're evil and it's awful, and all the reasons all the problems in this place are because of us? And if we just get our act together, and I'm talking about the individual, right? Until you realize you and I didn't have any decision making in any of this shit. None of it.
Correct. We had nothing to do with what Adam and Eve did. Nothing. Why are we being blamed for it?
Or even what Joe Biden's doing right now, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing you have any control over is what you're going to do today and how you're going to deal with it, what you're going to do with it in this moment. Exactly. That's the only control you have. That's it. And the ethics people talk about for Christianity, it's not really Christianity. It's something that we projected on it. There's things about caring about your neighbors and stuff like that. Actually, you don't need to be a Christian or believe in God or do anything to care about your neighbors. But we're in a situation right now in the Matrix that very few people even interact with their neighbors, even know who the neighbors are. That's something to think about. And by the way, it was a Christian society that created this situation. As much as people want to say, they'll say, oh no, a cult has started the country. So what? Whoever started, the fact of the matter is there's a church in every corner, in every town, in every street throughout this country. And you go on the radio, it's nothing but Christian stuff. It's a nightmare. It's just like, talk about, and they'll say, oh, it's a business. It's the business model, right? Is it just that? Or is it this place is specifically designed to get you and I to hand over any of our authority and power to a bunch of what Eddie calls boy lovers?
It's very crazy, man. And, it is what it is.
It's pure evil, man.
It is. It is pure evil.
Well, I think we've done this for 2 hours and 20 minutes, believe it or not.
Yeah.
This might be a good place to stop. maybe I'll end it with another video. But I appreciate you spending Saturday with me. We're talking about maybe, hopefully next Saturday, if it works out for you. Because we got the big event, the 8th of April.
Of April. Yeah.
It's the end of the world's going to happen next week, Eddie.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait. It's on a Monday too.
What are we going to do if they actually don't do anything at all?
Oh, they're just going to come up like they have, for centuries. Jesus came to me and told me, that he changed his mind.
He delayed it again. He says just a few more people he needs to harvest.
Yeah, just a little longer. Just a little longer.
At the end of the world. It's the end of the world, doesn't it? Hey, you guys should have showed up 2 hours ago. Everyone would have showed up now. Anyways, unless you want to come now and just keep going, I'm worn out. I was worn out before we even started. So, we could play another video from Brandon. We got another. We want to listen to another one, and
man, I'm done with Brandon.
Okay, I don't want to listen to it either. So, I'm gonna listen to something positive. It's about 4 minutes. It's 2 short videos. Check this out, guys.
You are the greatest mystery. It is no place, no other person, no thing. It is you. You know nothing of you. You are a mystery unto your countenance. To explain in terms that are most modern and relative to the age, components that are important about you, to be able to begin to understand the components such as brain, and understand how brain works. Computer is perfect analogy. You came into this life, this babe in the womb was already following a doctrine, pattern of the soul. The soul is a book. It's a book of life, appropriately called, and it contains within it all that the other part of you, the God of you, the divine of you, accomplished in a former incarnation and somewhere else between. And the accomplishment lives up to the prime mandate, make known the unknown. Many entities say, what is my destiny in life? The basis of all destiny is to make known the unknown. We are at the heart of our being, you and I, and everyone seen and unseen. You are divine. And how do we know that you're divine? Because you can create something out of nothing. And what you think matters. Now all life is affected by an attitude that you wear. Life is either injured by your attitude or is enriched because you walked by it. You are divine.
I call my power back to me from every person, place, entity, from every space, portal, time, and dimension, from every connection, attachment, and vessel where I left it. Anyone and anything that is attempting to siphon my energy, you do not have my consent to use my vitality, and I call my power back. I now release that which is not my own. I lay down the weight that doesn't belong to me, as well as the weight that does. I forgive all things, all people, and all others. I forgive myself. I cloak myself in a bright light of protection, impenetrable. I shed light to my shadows and lovingly work through all insecurities, flaws, and self-destructive habits that cause me not to flow in the ways in which I was created to. I honor those parts of myself and I love them to life. Any and every soul tie is now disconnected. My mind is decluttered and I see clearly those who no longer serve me and the mindsets attached to them. I take time for self-evaluation to uncover what in me connected me to that energy, and I heal my broken places. I take space in my own life, and I unapologetically do the same in the rooms that I walk into. My light, my energy speaks for me before I ever open my mouth. I speak those things that are not as though they were, not as if they have never been, but I activate them with my light energy into being from obscurity. My vibration reverberates and pushes away any energy that is not on the same frequency, and I align, knowing that this is all that is required of me. I receive my power back. Ashe.
It is time that I call my power back. It is time that I call my power back.
Remember, WTF who you are. So, Eddie, thank you for this evening. Got any last words?
I actually do. For the people that watch this video and believe that we are in the end times, I ask you to go read Acts chapter 2, verses 14, probably through 18, 19. And you'll see that Peter claimed they were in the last times and actually quoted the prophet Joel. So you'll see that Christianity is clearly deception. That's if the Bible is even true. I highly suspect it's more of a Shakespearean play than it is actual fact. But those are my last words to the people, and remember the children that are being taken advantage of in these cult buildings, cult churches.
That's right. Thank you, Eddie.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you for spending the evening with me.
Absolutely, man.
When's the next time you're going to go live on TikTok?
I was thinking about doing it right now, and then
So let everybody know where to go find you.
yeah, Holy Rolla, with an H at the end, AH. So it's Holy and then Rolla, ROLLAH 425 on TikTok, and you'll see my videos, and you can probably find that video that Brandon, Let's Not Go Brandon, stitched. And you'll see all my stitch videos where I call out all the people that claim that they were in the spirit last night and they spoke to Jesus and they did all this nonsense. It's ridiculous. Remember this, a righteous God would put the children before any one of us. And Jesus apparently puts everybody before the children. Actually, doesn't even come to the children, to the aid of the children. So this is clearly a trickster spirit, a demon. And I recommend that anybody that follows Jesus run away as fast as you can.
I second that. Yeah, and if you're in the information box, you should be able to find a link to TikTok to listen to Eddie live. And check him out, man. See what he goes through, what he has to say. He's got a lot of good things to say.
You can, on that page also is my Discord link. You can join my Discord and go watch all the Christians that I've communicated with and how quickly they block me.
That's pathetic, isn't it? It's so pathetic. Anyways, I'm so worn out. I've been sick this past 3 or 4 days, and I need to end this. So, Eddie, thank you for this. Right. Everyone else, thank you for joining us, and those who will hear this. yeah, take to heart what we're saying, and please do everything you can to avoid Christianity. So
Yep. Amun Ra.
that's right. I'm gonna end the recording now.